This is Group Challenger.
Hello, fellow people. I'm Jonathan Palmer.
I'm Cindy Seeley.
I'm Emma Beadnell.
And this is our presentation.
That is the Challenger taking off. So basically, what we got here is a space shuttle, and it flew 10 missions starting in 1983, and it was actually the second space shuttle in NASA's fleet, which started with Columbia. Challenger was probably the most popular space shuttle just because they used it more often than any of the other space shuttles during its lifespan. It made 10 missions, 9 of which were successful. The last one failed.
That's what we're talking about today.
Most.
So, yes.
Yeah. So what's famous about Challenger is that it was the space shuttle that accomplished many firsts for the space program, including sending the first woman into space, African American, Dutch man, and Canadian. It would have sent the first teacher in space, but she was on the last mission that failed, and so she died with the rest of the crew.
Okay, so the objectives of the Challenger. It was meant to deploy satellites, and it was meant to observe Halley's Comet. So the satellites were there was also a telescope that was being launched, and the teacher that was on board would have kind of FaceTime or Skype her classroom and would have taught lessons from space. That was part of the objective.
This is a photo of Challenger under construction in Palmdale, California. It was built by, I think their name was Rockwell, a corporation by the name of Rockwell. So yeah.
Okay, so the first time mission, the Challenger was the second space shuttle that NASA produced. Like Jonathan said, the first one was Columbia, thank you. And the first voyage took off on April 4th of 1983. And all of the missions were meant to launch satellites and to make observations of space and such.
So the biggest challenge of the Challenger was, it's kind of funny, isn't it? It was to ensure it wasn't being pushed too hard, because like I said, it was when it was made, after its first mission, it was used, I think, 85% of the time for all their missions, even after they built the Discovery and the Atlantis, which were 2 new shuttles. So it was used a lot over the period of just like 3 or 4 years. So the biggest challenge was keeping it maintained and making sure it wasn't being sent into space too much, which kind of was.
Okay, so what caused the disaster? The failure is mainly caused by the communication and the ignorance of the head people or the managers at NASA. So there were many things wrong with it, and Jonathan, if you go to the next slide. The O-rings were the main concern. So really there just wasn't enough time put into it, and there were many warnings from people lower down that, hey, the O-rings aren't ready, this shouldn't go into the air or into space, and the managers were just pushing and pushing for it to get up there because they had already delayed it. But so the O-rings create a tight seal on the joints and threads. So can I use your water bottle? So you see on these water bottles, you know how there's like this plastic ring here that keeps the water from coming out? That's basically what an O-ring does. So the O-rings, it was too cold that day when it launched, so the O-rings just kind of disintegrated, and it caused a fire leakage and an explosion. So if you click on the link, we'll go to the video of.
The video does not exist.
Shoot, so glad this
Let me
is.
search it. see if you guys can see where the O-rings kind of disintegrate. You'll see a bigger puff of smoke than when it's launching.
We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and lift off. Lift off from the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower. So the 25th Space Shuttle mission is now on the way.
Look really closely.
More delays to NASA
You'll be able to see it.
account. This morning, it looked as though they were not going to be able to get off.
Who's that?
Yeah, I kind of want to have one
Well,
really fast.
It's
But if,
like around 2 seconds before it explodes, you can see, I'll see if I can go back. I couldn't do it before, but you can see where it kind of just kind of lets go.
On the way after more delays to NASA account. This morning, it looked as though
Yeah,
they were not
so there's like a popping.
yeah.
You see the popping right here? Oh, hold on, we're back to our, yeah. So that's basically the reason the O-ring came out, which caused, it was by the fuel, so it caused the fire, or like the explosion or whatever, to leak through, and which eventually caused it to blow up. So yeah, you can exit out of there. Next slide.
Okay, so here's like a collection of photos that were taken from its takeoff up till its explosion. Everything was going great, but not great after a while. Okay, just skip to the next slide.
Okay, so after the explosion, they did an investigation, which President Ronald Reagan wanted to happen. So he appointed a special commission to do the investigating and find what went wrong, and then figure out how to fix it for next time. So it was headed by former Secretary of State William Rogers, and then Neil Armstrong, as well as the former test pilot Chuck Yeager. They were also part of the investigation. And then, of course, they discovered the problems with the O-rings. And then the company that designed the solid rocket boosters had ignored warnings and potential issues. So they had recognized the problems, but they hadn't done anything about it because, like Cindy said, they were just pushing and pushing to put it into space. And they had already delayed it so many times that they just wanted to get it into space. So if they had just delayed a little bit longer, we could have saved those lives and had a successful mission. So the past missions, there were 9 previous missions and they were all successful. The Challenger was originally a test vehicle, and then they decided to start running missions with it. The reasons that they had set up other previous missions was satellite data tracking and relay, communication satellite launch, multi-purpose satellite launch, and the first untethered spacewalk was also achieved in one of the Challenger missions. And the Challenger was also made to be reusable. So how it affected future missions, NASA, after the accident, they refrained from sending astronauts into space for more than 2 years. And then, so the flights began again in September of 1988 with the successful launch of Discovery. Since then, many missions have been successfully carried out, like maintaining the Hubble Space Telescope, and building the International Space Station. And then on February 1st, 2003, the Columbia disintegrated upon re-entry, killing all aboard. So that was another problem. I don't believe it was O-rings, but that was another failed mission. And then after that second disaster, once again they waited about 2 years, and then resumed in July of 2005, sending astronauts back into space.
Okay, so what the Challenger built off of, obviously it was built off the first space shuttle, the Columbia, and it was developed from the heavier ground-bound shuttle. So the Challenger was really a new, lightweight kind of shuttle. So it was just new, shiny, and super light, and what it led to, it really led to higher safety precautions. So if even one engineer says, hey, this isn't ready to go up, then NASA stops and they look over like what's wrong. And it caused a 2-year delay for NASA, so they really just wanted to get those safety and communication errors fixed, and the construction of the Space Shuttle Endeavour also built off of the Challenger. Okay, so what we know now, we know that everyone in NASA must be in agreement, and it's really like the main thing we learned from this mission was be safe, don't rush anything, like make sure everything's in order, and communication and paying attention to those underneath you. Yeah, so that's basically what we know now.
These are the crew members of the last mission, their list, and the teacher, Krista McCauley, right here. Yeah, it's very, very sad. They're all dead.
First time I watched the video.
Okay, so the flight, it lasted a total of 73 seconds. So when the O-rings disintegrated and it exploded, it continued to keep going up in elevations until it reached 65,000 feet, and then it started to arc back down towards the Atlantic Ocean. So it took 2 minutes and 45 seconds for it to fall back into the ocean. So it hit the Atlantic Ocean 2 minutes and 45 seconds after the initial explosion.
And the place where the crew was holding, I can't remember the name of like the cabin, it hit the Atlantic Ocean at 200 miles per hour. So investigators don't even know if it was the initial explosion that killed the crew members or if it was just the impact. Just kidding.
Next slide. Anyways, keep going. So the crew did not die instantly. Reports show that they were still alive after the initial explosion. Since the cabin did explode, not completely, but it was broken apart, they most likely passed out since there was not enough oxygen, so they were unconscious. As the cabin hit the surface of speeds of upwards of 200 miles per hour, it was unlikely that the crew gained consciousness again, just because as the air thickens, as they're going down in elevation, there's so little time for them to actually gain consciousness and breathe that oxygen in, so it was unlikely that they were conscious once they hit the surface. They died most likely due to impact of the cabin hitting the water rather than the initial explosion, but they do know that they were alive after the initial explosion, but they don't know exactly when they died.
That's after the explosion. This is actually probably 10-15 seconds after, because it kind of just sat up there for a while. And she said parts of it went up, the main explosion occurred. And you didn't actually see a lot of debris coming down right away.
It reminds me of fireworks. You know how when fireworks go up, you just see the smoke like 2 minutes afterwards? That's what it looked like. It was super eerie and kind of weird. Everyone was just like, what just happened after it exploded? That's it.
So we're excited.
Yeah, we have our hometown hero. Okay. Hi, I am one of the main engineers from NASA, and I work on the Challenger.
And I am going to interview her.
Emma?
I'm going to interview her. How did you feel when NASA gave the mission a green light?
Well, honestly, I felt really mad because I told them that it wasn't ready to go up yet and that the O-rings were not developed enough, but they just didn't listen to me and they were ignorant. They just sent it up there anyway.
What did the O-rings do? What was their purpose?
O-rings kind of keep all of the fire and all of the fuel together. They protect the threads and they protect all of the valves and stuff.
What did you feel when you saw the Challenger blow up?
I was definitely sad that all of the crew members lost their life, but honestly, I was just disappointed in NASA's safety precautions.